Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa Budzinski with Gilda's Club Grand Rapids. So great to meet with you here on this virtual clubhouse. So glad that we can stay safe, be healthy, and still connect with one another, have good conversations, and see each other. If you're watching today and you're new to Gilda's Club and you want to have more information about our free cancer and grief support community, please give us a call at 616-453-8300 or look on our website, www.gildasclubgr.org, or make a comment right on this post. If you have a question for either of our speakers or about our conversation, or if you liked it and you felt it valuable and helpful, please like it or ask the question and we'll make sure that they get fielded to our speakers today, and or share this post and let people know about us. So we're so grateful to have two wonderful people with us today. We have John Beckett, and he is a sports program editor and I had that wrong, a show editor and a sports photographer with Fox 17. He also has been a member of Gilda's Club since 2017, and he currently attends the Brain Cancer Group. Nice to have you with us.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me, Melissa.
Yeah. And we have Ellis DeWine, and she's coming all the way from Grand Haven, where it looks very sunny there. And she is a social work student at Calvin College. And she also is a member of Gilda's Club Grand Rapids, and she attends group with John because they are engaged. So nice to have you with us too, Ella.
Thanks, it's good to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much, both of you, for being willing to come together with me and have a conversation about your diagnosis and about your experience of being diagnosed, and yeah, your wisdom, sharing your wisdom with us. So, and I didn't say, but Ella also has a diagnosis of lymphoma, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So, and both were diagnosed when they were younger. And so really interested in hearing about that experience. So I'm just wondering, our topic today is obviously learning more about being diagnosed, about being young and being diagnosed, and how to manage that piece. And just wondering, what was that like for you when you heard that, oh, you have cancer? Either one of you can start. I'm fine with that.
I can go first.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, so I was in my mid-20s. It was 2015 when I was originally diagnosed. I had a seizure, which led to the discovery of a brain tumor. And at first, I think it was just shock, right? I remember having the seizure and then being brought to the hospital in an ambulance. And I had all these tests done, and I'll never forget being in there with my parents, and a doctor came in and said that it could be a brain tumor, but it doesn't look like it. So that kind of shook us, and it was emotional. It was sad, but we weren't sure at that time. And over a couple more tests and MRIs, I found out it was a brain tumor, and then I found out it was indeed cancerous. And in shock was the first reaction. I was disappointed, like all of the negative emotions I think were in there. Like, why me? I'm only 25 years old. But I think overall I've handled it pretty well. I had an amazing support system, a great attitude throughout my whole journey. And yeah, I think my family was key in that.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. How about you, Ella?
Yeah, so for me, it was less of a sudden shocking thing because it took us so long to figure out what it was. I discovered like a golf ball sized lump on my neck. And I was actually in Honduras with some people from my church. And so that was really scary when I found that. But then I almost just like avoided it and tried to forget about it and go about the trip. And then when I got home is when I told my mom, and we became more aggressive in trying to figure out what was going on. I had some symptoms, just overall fatigue and just like a lack of interest in a lot of things. It was the summer after I graduated from high school. So we were curious maybe if I was struggling with something mental health related, if I was, more at a lower point in life because I, had come off this high of graduating. So we were hopeful that it was just, it was something else. We thought maybe I picked up some infection in Honduras. So I went through over a month, I would say, of trying different antibiotics, having different blood tests taken. Everything was coming back looking fine. And so, they're just trying to rule out all the possible things that it could be before they actually perform the biopsy. And unfortunately, the biopsy was scheduled the day before I was supposed to move into college. So I moved into college my freshman year, not knowing the results and just, being hopeful that they would be in my favor and not be cancer. So for me, I can't say that I was shocked. I think I knew it was coming. I'm also just very self-aware emotionally, but also with my body, and I knew something was wrong. So I don't think I was shocked when I heard it, but I was more just relieved to finally have an answer as to what was going on. And then that would lead to actually having a plan for how to treat it. So I think in some way I felt relieved, which might sound strange to people, but it was finally that answer that we'd been looking for so long.
Right. The relief is more about knowing and moving forward than it is about relieved you have cancer, right?
Exactly.
It's just about knowing what is happening. Absolutely. Because that in-between place is really the hardest place.
Yeah.
That not knowing and that waiting for results. And then you have all of this great, just normal, I'm going to use that word, moving into college, your next step in your development, and a joyous time. And then there's this heavy weight of waiting for, that information, for that diagnosis. And what a tough thing. How did your family handle that with you?
I think the news, because I had come to terms with it in my mind a lot earlier than they did, from my perception, I think they took it a lot harder than I did. And I think similar to John, I just had a really positive perspective. I mean, of course I was upset and sad and scared and all the things, but I was like, I just accepted it and was like, okay, so what do we do next? Whereas I think my family, it was so hard for them because they had to come to my college where I had stayed for one night and tell me that they had to move me home and that I had to start treatment. And, my mom and dad, like, I think that was one of the hardest days of their life because you have to go and tell your 18-year-old that she can't go to college and that she's really sick and has to go through this long road of treatment. So they took it really hard. But they were so supportive to me through my whole journey. And I'm really grateful to have a close relationship with them because I think it would have been a lot different if we weren't a close family.
Yeah, sure. Well, and what a grief for both of you. You're at these moments in your life where, your whole life is ahead of you. And then all of a sudden you're coming to terms with your own physicality and the possibility of illness. Did you feel like that set you apart from your peers, or how did you navigate that? Yeah.
I'll say that for me, I think it was in a way a setback, like mentally, slightly physically. But I was single. I was in my mid-20s, and this comes out of nowhere. And so you kind of have to shuffle your priorities. And for me, it was, I need to take care of this. Eventually, I had brain surgery in July of 2015. They got most of the tumor out. And then I had 30 treatments of radiation. And I lost hair on the right side and part of the back of my head. And then I did cyclic chemo for 12 months, starting at the end of 2015 until the end of 2016. And so I was a little bit self-conscious because my hair, even now, it's a little bit thinner than normal. But, going like dating, I had to think about, when do I tell the girls? Like, I would usually do it pretty quickly because I didn't want to hide that from them. So it was definitely difficult, I think, navigating through life and learning this new normal. And then during chemo, I would live with my parents. They'd kind of take special care of me during my week of chemotherapy. So it was challenging. It was challenging for me.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, John. Yeah, I'm just thinking of, you're having this sort of stop and go of your own developmental stage in life, and having, okay, I'm going to put that on pause for a week and do this chemo. So just a lot to navigate with that. And then dating. Yeah. What an added challenge or conversation that needs to happen, right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, interesting. How about you, Ella?
Yeah, I think when you say, did it feel like it set you apart from your peers? I would definitely say that was the case for me, because it pulled me away from college and I had to move home. So I really was like isolated, literally. So I did feel that. I felt like everyone was kind of going on with their lives and I was the only one back here having to wait for my turn. And I think even more than that, I think something that's really unique about being diagnosed when you're so young is that you come to terms with your mortality, right? And you're faced with the reality that life does not go on forever. And I think because I was faced with that at age 18, where a lot of kids are thinking that they're invincible and that they can do anything that they want and that, they're on top of the world, I just think it was a really unique perspective for me to have. And then when I finally was able to go back to school, I felt this disconnect because I felt like the things that I cared about and prioritized were just so different from my peers. Everything felt really superficial to me.
Yeah.
The things that people would talk about. And so it was just hard for me to try to connect with people because I felt like I was 60 years old in my heart and all these people around me were so young. And going off what John was saying about the dating thing, I was actually in a relationship at the time. And I think I was just really hesitant to end it because I thought, well, no one's going to understand me. Like, no one went through this with me. Like, I don't know how I could ever, how someone could ever understand this part of me without physically being here for it. And when that ended and it was the right thing to end, I never thought then that I would find someone who would just like understand that part of me. And so I think that was what was so special and different about meeting John, is like we had that in common and we had this super traumatic, difficult time that we both went through. It was a different journey, definitely, and we weren't there for each other's journeys. But I think we just understand each other on a level that no one else could. So that's been really special to have him and to realize that, someone who loves you is going to understand or try their best to understand every part of you. So.
Oh, yeah. And so the two of you, when you met, you knew before you started dating that each of you had cancer.
Yeah, we actually met at a different cancer support group.
Okay. So there was that understanding to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't have to navigate that conversation, right?
No.
Did you have to navigate other conversations around your cancer and in relation to also your upcoming marriage?
Yeah, I think throughout our relationship, even from the night we met, uh, we were extremely open and honest, and we both knew we had cancer, uh, and we talked about our journeys in great detail. And you know, cancer just doesn't end when you're cancer free or when you're done with treatment. There are long-term effects physically, mentally, emotionally. So we've definitely covered all of those things and connected on those levels, and we've had the tough conversations. But I think if anything, it's only brought us closer together.
Mm. Yeah, that understanding, Ella, that you were talking about, that both of you can deeply empathize with each other about what it is to manage your cancer journey from, from very diagnosis on, right? And from this point on. So you know kind of what is ahead and can support each other in that and understand. Yeah. That's really cool and very unique. Very, very unique. Yeah. Oh, thanks for sharing that. So, what is most, I know we've talked about what was most helpful, it seems like, for both of you when you first were diagnosed seems like communication with your health team, with your family, and now communication with each other. That seems like key. But what is most helpful for you? If there was something else that was also helpful for you early on in navigating all of this? And then is there something that is helpful also now as you manage your long-term care?
For me, I think my support system, right? Definitely my close-knit family. But then I just felt like I had an army behind me supporting me, whether it be text messages, phone calls, visits, social media. I just felt like everyone rallied around me, but it started with my family and my faith. And without them, I don't know where I'd be at right now.
Yeah.
And I just really I grew closer in my faith, and I've never been as close as I was back in 2015 and 16. So my faith and family, and then just my support system of extended family and friends, they were huge for me back then. And now, it kind of fades, right? Like, oh, I'm doing better. I had surgery. I'm through treatment. I'm doing well. My scans have been stable. So that kind of fades a little bit, and that's okay. But now, obviously, we're here for Gilda's Club, and it was back in 2017. I had heard about Gilda's Club through work, just the community, and I thought I was okay. I would have bad days and things, but I didn't need a support group. Well, I gave it a shot, and I'm so happy I did, because I was able to surround myself with people just like me, and like not just cancer fighters or survivors, but people with brain cancer. And I love each and every one of those people. I almost never miss a meeting, even a Zoom meeting. They just mean so much to me, and it's so great to just be able to share and to really understand this, like same chemotherapies and treatments. And also, Gilda's has started a young adult group that Ella and I have been attending. So now it's kind of just like we have these support groups, like Ella mentioned earlier. We have another young adult group where we met through Children's Healing Center called AYA, and that's how we met. So we have these support groups, and I really think they're huge. They're an important part of our lives, and kind of keeps us going. And I think being able to offer our own love and support, you get that back times two, and sometimes you don't even realize it at the time.
Yeah. And you certainly have been a big presence in that group John, and managing our Facebook page and really keeping in contact with people. And I think you're absolutely right that the groups, we often think about people say, oh, I don't need support. But the truth is you give support and get support at the same time, almost just by sitting in group. You know, you really don't have to say anything sometimes. It's being the person that is willing to listen also, and then share our wisdom too, which is great. Thank you for that. How about you, Ella?
I just would echo a lot of what he said. I think the support, like he was saying, definitely, I think a lot of people, like right when you're diagnosed, they show up, right? They cook the meals, they bless you, your family financially, texting, calling, frequently checking in. I do think that that slows down as time goes, and I think that that's understandable. In my situation, unfortunately, I did relapse less than a year after my original diagnosis, and I felt like the second time around, I think a lot of people, not consciously, but I think they were like, oh, we just did this. We just were here for, Ella's family and Ella. And I think there was just less overall support. And then just as time goes on, again, I think it dies down. But I think sometimes that's when people need the most support, is when you're done with treatment and you're trying to figure out what your life looks like post treatment and who you are anymore. And I think I definitely could have used more, just like a text here and there from people, and just the acknowledgement that, like what John said, like once you're done, you're never done with cancer. It's always a part of your story. And I think just having friends who randomly send a text or randomly show up for you and ask you, about things even related to your health still 3 years down the road, I think that's what makes all the difference. And then I just want to echo the support groups. I think because I experienced what I was talking about in college, where I just felt like no one here understands me. Like there were a few people, I had some good friends, but I think surrounding yourself with people who get it is really important. And having people that to some degree understand your journey, I think is key in making you feel like you're not alone.
Yeah, and that is the key, is knowing that you're not alone in this and staying connected, because it can be a very lonely, misunderstood journey at times, especially I love that perspective as you get further out. We often say that, people are busy with their treatment and they're sort of focused and doing something. And then once treatment is done, is really all that emotional journey starts. It starts to really sink in. And you need support during that time. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and the importance of being able to feel, as you say, John, that army behind you, feel like you're not alone when you're it just even navigating what am I going to do today and what does that look like, right? And that's especially challenging right now. And so especially because most people, and I'm assuming you guys are too, that people can go with you to treatment or to a checkup or whatever, but they have to wait in the car while you go in by yourself. And so that it's a whole different feeling, right? Again, another level of adjustment and emotional impact on us. So, yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for, just sharing all of that with us and sharing your journey and your wisdom. So appreciate both of you. And you give so much to the group. And so appreciate that. And so thank you for that. And I think that's really all we have time for today. We want to say congratulations again. And we're so excited about your upcoming marriage. And what a beautiful spot, sunny, bright spot for us, especially in our brain group. Everybody just loves enjoying your love that you share with everyone. It's such a beautiful gift. So thank you for that. And if anyone out there is interested in learning more about either of those groups, the brain group, or we also have a lymphoma group that meets once a month, or the young adult group for cancer survivors, we would love to talk with you about that and get you connected to our free support community. If you have any other questions for John or Ella, don't feel shy to just let us know and we'll make sure we get those to them. And if you want to just let us know how you're doing, we'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, we hope everyone stays safe and keep your social distancing. Check out where those vaccines are and keep yourself healthy. And hopefully we'll see you next time we come together. And again, John and Ella, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everyone.